What keeps you from changing your public IP address and wreaking havoc? An interesting question was asked of me and I did not know what to answer. So I'll ask here. Let's say I subscribe to an ISP and I'm using cable internet access. The ISP gives me a public IP address of 60.61.62.63. What keeps me from changing this IP address to, let's say, 60.61.62.75, and messing with another consumer's internet access? For the sake of this argument, let's say that this other IP address is also owned by the same ISP. Also, let's assume that it's possible for me to go into the cable modem settings and manually change the IP address. Under a business contract where you are allocated static addresses, you are also assigned a default gateway, a network address and a broadcast address. So that's 3 addresses the ISP loses to you. That seems very wasteful for dynamically assigned IP addresses, which the majority of customers are. Could they simply be using static ARPs? ACLs? Other simple mechanisms?
Cable modems aren't like your home router, EA. They don't have a web interface with simple point-and-click buttons that any kid can hack into. Cable modems are looked up and located by their MAC address by the ISP, and are typically accessed by technicians using proprietary software that only they have access to, that only runs on their servers, and therefore can't really be stolen. Cable modems also authenticate and cross-check settings with the ISP servers. The server has to tell the modem whether its settings and location on the cable network are valid, and simply sets it to what the ISP has it set it for, bandwidth, DHCP allocations, etc. For instance, when you tell your ISP I would like a static IP, please, they allocate one to the modem through their servers, and the modem allows you to use that IP. Same with bandwidth changes, for instance. To do what you are suggesting, you would likely have to break into the servers at the ISP and change what it has set up for your modem. Could they simply be using static ARPs? ACLs? Other simple mechanisms? Every ISP is different, both in practice and how close they are with the larger network that is providing service to them. Depending on those factors, they could be using a combination of ACL and static ARP. It also depends on the technology and the cable network itself. The ISP I worked for used some form of ACL, but that knowledge was a little beyond my pay grade. I only got to work with the technician's interface and do routine maintenance and service changes. What keeps me from changing this IP address to, let's say, 60.61.62.75 and mess with another consumer's internet access? Given the above, what keeps you from changing your IP to one that your ISP hasn't specifically given to you as a server that is instructing your modem what it can and can't do? Even if you somehow broke into the modem, if 60.61.62.75 is already allocated to another customer, then the server will simply tell your modem that it can't have it.
Most modern ISPs, last 13 years or so, will not accept traffic from a customer connection unless it has a source IP address that they would route to that customer were it the destination IP address. This is called reverse path forwarding. See BCP 38. ISPs either do not use dynamic routing protocols with their customer connections or filter the routes they receive over these connections. So there would be no effect on what packets you received.
There is a little more to it. Your PC or router may obtain an IP through DHCP or you may pay for a static IP, but either way your ISP isn't losing IP addresses. The default gateway is used by every IP on a network. The cable modems themselves will talk to the UBRs, Universal Broadband Router, on a private IP network, usually a 10.10.x.x address. This way the ISP isn't paying for as many public IPs. The default gateway for your public IP is on the other end of a network tunnel. If you change the IP on your PC from the DHCP provided address to some other static IP, your cable modem simply won't accept traffic from it.
Your packets are going through your ISP, so I would imagine it compares source IP by using an ACL of some sort, then filters accordingly. Spoofing your IP will most likely fail unless the ISP doesn't have the proper security in place. There are supposed horror stories of an ISP in UK letting out private IPs through their network causing a bunch of havoc, but it shouldn't happen.